Hey Titans, I'm Lynette Los Angeles, a health education assistant at Tidal, and for this virtual hot topic, we're going to be talking about healthy relationships. We have so many different kinds of relationships in our lives, from family members, friendships, romantic, intimate relationships, casual acquaintances, coworkers, the list goes on. So let's put into perspective how relationships affect our student population at Cal State Fullerton. I have some statistics I'd like to share from the 2018 National College Health Assessment. Around 31% of CSUF students reported that social relationships were traumatic or very difficult to handle. About 35% reported that intimate relationships were very difficult to handle or traumatic. And around 40% of Cal State Fullerton students reported family problems as being traumatic or very difficult to handle. And lastly, around 13% of Cal State Fullerton students reported relationship difficulties affecting their academic performance. With COVID-19, there has been this extra stressor added to many of our relationships, whether that's because we're dealing with just virtual learning, grief, the world, right? We haven't seen many people in person either. And then sometimes we're with some people way too much because we have no choice. It all looks very different for many of us, but it still has this huge impact in our lives. Having healthy relationships is important because it can help us manage stress, improve our overall health, and live a longer life, while the opposite may lead to adverse mental and physical health consequences. So, what does a healthy relationship mean to you? A huge part of a healthy relationship is mutual respect, because respect allows us to feel valued in our thoughts, boundaries, and perspectives. Mutual respect also allows for there to be this equal power dynamic. One person's not above another. That's very important to note because the root cause of interpersonal violence is power and taking advantage of that power to control another person. Keep in mind, this is not about having to agree with one another all the time. And it's also not about never having an argument. It's about refraining from degrading another person and not misusing power when there is a disagreement. Other than mutual respect, there are other essential components to a healthy relationship that are worth noting, such as communication, accountability, trust, cooperation, support, honesty, and safety. Take a moment and think about what each of these components means to you and what you think it might look like. Now, let's go over some examples of healthy signs in a relationship. These examples can look like listening and respecting a partner's decisions and choices, considering the feelings of people involved in a relationship when talking and making decisions. People in a relationship are fine spending time apart from each other, being able to talk about your feelings openly, even when it's hard, being able to take responsibility when wrong, and being able to disagree without disrespecting one another. As for unhealthy relationships, some red flags can look like constantly calling, texting, messaging, asking for a location, what's going on, who's there, checking a person's phone, email, or social media messages without consent, saying mean or embarrassing things about the person, whether that's one on one or in front of others, acting jealous or trying to stop a person from hanging out with others, having a bad temper that someone might be afraid to make them mad, and someone who's abusive verbally and or physically, that is definitely an unhealthy relationship, but there is help out there. If you find yourself in need of some of these resources, some that can help are Campus Advocate, Title IX, Tidal's Violence Prevention and Sexual Health Educator, and Counseling and Psychological Services. There are also plenty of community resources that can help as well. After going over healthy and unhealthy relationship examples, it's important to note that even the healthiest of relationships, there is going to be conflict. We are going to go over conflict resolution and the art of communication now. Communication is a skill that can be used in any relationship that just helps us convey our experiences, our needs, boundaries, and it helps us connect with one another. Communication helps us with conflict resolution because no one can read our minds, right? So be sure to discuss your feelings. If someone made you feel a certain way, make sure you talk about how you feel instead of automatically making accusations. Making accusations can make the person feel a little bit more defensive rather than understanding. And when talking about feelings, try using I statements. This is assertive communication, and this shows that you're taking responsibility for how you feel and you're not blaming someone else for your feelings. Use statements are aggressive communication, and this can cause the other person to feel judged and victimized. Avoiding generalizations such as words always or never can also help. When we speak in such extremes, it could be inaccurate and then it can end up causing even more conflict. Once a person in a relationship discusses how they feel, a conflict can typically be resolved through an apology. And a genuine apology does not include a but, right? This makes it seem like a person is not ready to take responsibility for their actions and just gives an excuse to why they did what they did. Overall, a genuine apology comes with taking accountability, creating a compromise, and then following through with action. It can't just be words and then nothing else. So that's all I have for you all today. For a recap, we went over CSUF statistics revolving around relationships, the importance of healthy relationships, what it looks like, what it doesn't, resources, and some conflict resolution. Please take the survey at the end of this video to secure your promo item for this month. We also have a Zoom Hangout February 18th at 12 p.m. to play a healthy relationships activity. DM us on Instagram at TyNoel or email tynoel@fullerton.edu for the Zoom information. If you're interested in being entered into an opportunity drawing, be sure you stay tuned for our future topics and try to participate in as many videos and Zoom Hangouts as possible. This semester, the TyNoel Virtual Hut is collaborating with Tide Recreation to make this all possible. So make sure you also check out Tide Recreation. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you all very soon.